I'm back, finally doing another start to finish card video series. I know I started this a long time ago and got sidetracked, but we're going to have a November one, so I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to be kind of focusing on the hair color today because I had some requests to share the hair color that I used on my previous video, the Angel. Her hair was already colored up, so I thought I'd show how I did that. And today I'm going to be using, this is Wishes Wryn. She's a digital stamp from TiddlyInks, and I just printed her out on Copic X-PressIt cardstock. And I'm just going to get into it real quick. I'm using my go-to skin color combination, the E000, E00, E11, and there's not much of her face, you know, or skin to do, so I'm just going to really quick do this. And I'm going to have my light source coming in slightly from the left, just because her face is kind of tilted that way. So I'm just going to lay in a little bit of color. And that was the 000. I work light to dark. Now I'm just going to start layering in the darker kind of shadow areas. Go a little bit heavier opposite the light source. And then the E11. And that's just right in there underneath the hairline. Okay, where that little wisp of hair is coming down to cast a shadow there. And then heavier on this cheek, because again, it's opposite that light source that I've decided on. Now I'm going to work my way back down the 00. This is where I start blending the colors together. Just smoothing it all out. And that's, these little wrens are so cute, and they're another one of the images that I like. They're pretty quick to color up. They're not too terribly involved, so you're not spending hours, which sometimes I love to do. I mean, I'm not dissing that at all. It's just what you're in the mood to be coloring up. So now I'm just blending everything together with the 000, E000. While that's still wet, I'm going to add in the R00 for a little bit of blush. And generally, I kind of just find the eye and go straight down from the eye when I'm adding blush to a character, thinking of their cheekbone being right underneath that eye. So now I'm just going to take my E00, kind of blend the cheeks in on that side. And then on this side, since it's lighter over here, I'm going to use my E000 to kind of blend that side. So to keep that lighter, keep that light source still very strong. Okay. And that is all I'm going to do. Like I said, quick and easy for her face. And she doesn't have any other, because she's going to be wearing little mittens and stuff. So I'm not going to worry about any other skin tone. Now I'm going to get to the hair, and I'll show you. I'm going for, it's kind of a strawberry blonde. And it's a Y11, Y32, YR02, and an E33. So I've got two yellows, an orange, and an earth tone, brown. And the reason why I thought it'd be good to do this in a video is because there's such a leap in these colors. It's not as straightforward as like what I just did with the face, where it was the, you know, starting light to dark, back down to light. This one is going to take a little bit more manipulation, just because I've got such a drastic difference between the colors that I'm using, but it looks really cool once you get it done. So, I'm just going to dive right in with my Y11, and I'm going to start, and I always tend to start at the base of their roots in a hair, where I imagine like her part here. And this Y11 is, you know, really bright. It's definitely a sunshiny yellow and not very natural looking, but it's going to help brighten up this color combination a lot so it's not too dull. Now I got this part kind of imagined right there. And come down here, she's got her pigtails. And there. A little bit down there. Okay. And I tend to leave white what areas I want to be lightest at the end. So you see I got a lot of white showing there. Because it's a blonde, so I want to try to keep it as light as possible. So now my next color is the Y32. And again, I'm just going right over, but just not pulling it as far as I did with the Y11. And just getting all these kind of areas where they're wrapping. And I'll be a little bit more generous with the color on this side, just because again I'm opposite the light source over there. So color that in, and then this, and then anything back kind of behind her head is going to get a lot more color too. It's going to be darker back there to create the illusion that it's behind her, and then just touching the color in there. Now I've got the YR02. This is the light orange, and this is where I'm going to get that kind of strawberry blonde look. And it's also the reason why I got to do some a little bit more blending, because you'll see that is a big jump right there and a pretty obvious transition from the orange into the yellow, and we want to smooth that out. But right now I'm just laying the color in. I'm not worrying about the blending yet. Okay. So again, heavier back there, opposite that light source. Back here. Okay, and then don't forget this little ponytail. Okay. Now, my big contrast is a brown, the E33, and it's, as far as the earth tones go, not super dark, but for this combination it gives me a nice contrast that'll play against the lightness of the rest of the hair once we get it done. And it kind of tones down the oranginess of that YR02 as well. So you can see I'm not using a ton of it, just knocking it in there where I want it to be a little bit darker. Okay, so there's my first layer, and now I am going to work back down. So I'm going to take my YR02 and just right over top of that brown, play that up a bit. Okay. Get that on there. And now to the Y32. This is where, okay, now I'm really starting to pull out. Get a lot more color on the image. Pull it up on this side of her head. And from the roots over here. Up. This is where we're definitely starting to get the blonde in on this combination. I'm going to pull it down on those little wisps there. Okay. And the Y11, and I'm actually going to be a little bit stingy with it. I'm going basically over the Y32, but not into the white much. Because I just want this to brighten up that combination, but not add the yellow so much to the rest of the hair. Okay. Alright, so there is that, and again you can see it doesn't really look done. So what I'm doing to get more of that strawberry blonde is I'm taking my Y32 and my YR02, and I'm going to take my 02 and I could do it just on my little mat here, but just to be safe. Usually I can use the lids of the pens if I've got a really messy lid, but if you don't have a messy lid, I just, lay some ink down on a non-porous surface and create kind of a palette for myself. And then I'm going to use my Y32 to pick up the color. So you can see I have it on there. And now I'm going to use that kind of like a paintbrush. And that's really going to give me a nice blend of those two colors. It's going to add the yellow that I want, the kind of muted yellow, with that touch of YR02. That's going to give me a real nice blend. And we're going to lose those harsh lines that I started with. Okay. So I'm just going to pick that up. And this is just, a nice little trick when you're working with colors that jump around a lot, when you're not using the obvious kind of in a row combinations. Just gives you a really nice look. And you can see how it's just smoothing that all out and still lending that kind of strawberry blonde look that I want. And as I just kind of color and let the YR02 color out of the marker, so it's going back to that Y32. I'm filling in the gaps now. More of that white is getting colored in. Okay. Alright, so I got that looking pretty good. But I want to add some more contrast into the image. So I'm just taking my time because I want to let that kind of dry a little bit. I don't want it to be super saturated. And now I'm just going to knock back in some E33. Just real light, kind of flicking it in. Because these darker areas are going to make the lighter areas appear that much lighter. And that's the whole reason why we're adding them in. Okay. But I don't want to go too crazy with this because, again, we're still trying to go for a blonde hair here. Okay. Now, jump back down to my Y11. Just kind of brighten that all up again. And we're going to let that kind of start going since we have so little of the white showing now. I'm going to just pull a little further into it. And if you're working on a larger image, little Wryn here doesn't need it so much, but like when I used this combination on the angel and she had a whole lot of hair going on, I was still having a hard time blending the white from white, this kind of white highlight, into the Y11 and keeping it more of a natural look. So you can, as an option, add an E50 into the this color combination just right at the end and use it to kind of tone down that Y11 in that lightest area and still keep it nice and light, but definitely the earth tone lends a little bit more of a natural hue to that Y11 that we just laid down. Okay, there you go. That is kind of my just little trick for doing this strawberry blonde hair color combination. You could always take the E33, add some strands in. I kind of, with the strands that are already included on this image, I like how this is looking, so I'm not going to go in and add it on her. And I hope you can kind of see a nice little strawberry blonde combination, how that's turning out. As it dries, it'll brighten up. But okay, so that's the first video. Then the next video we're going to come back, finish coloring the image, and then after that we'll put the entire card together. So I hope you like that video, and I'll see you again real soon. Thanks for watching.